eyes land on a big piece of strawberry cheesecake that probably is chock full of calories, but you really love cheesecake, and you haven't had it in a very long time. Imagine yourself in that situation. How would you feel? What might you do? Okay, here's a different scenario. Imagine that you are checking your schedule for the upcoming week, and you see that you have a doctor's appointment for a minor outpatient surgical procedure on Friday. But for the first time, you notice that this particular Friday is the 13th day of the month. You're not really superstitious, but you're going under the knife on that day, and you think, maybe I should reschedule the appointment. So think about that. Put yourself in that situation. One of the things that, just as a hint to future topics, one of the things that these two scenarios are both supposed to engender in you is a sense of inner conflict, or a sense that something is not quite right. And so just let those sit for now. We'll come back to them later, the cheesecake example and the Friday the 13th example. Okay, so let's return to the question of what it means to be rational before we get to irrational. Now, the word rational, in the sense that we use it, and irrational, are not really the terms that have been used over the years with respect to this topic. They're fairly modern terms. More likely, in earlier times, we talked about reason as a human capability, reason. And that goes back all the way to the Greeks, 4th century BC. And so, for example, Plato placed a lot of stock in reason. Reason was an important human activity. And he also talked about the soul being divided into three parts. Appetites, which were what we would think of as drives like thirst and hunger, fatigue, and then spirit, which is what we would think of as emotions. That's the second part. And the last part was reason. And in Plato's view, reason ruled over the other two. So reason was superior and reined in our appetites and our spirit, our emotions. This is consistent with the sort of hierarchical view of the world that the Greeks had. Things were in a hierarchy, with humans, for example, higher than animals. Which leads us to Aristotle, Plato's student, who also talked about the soul, but in relation to the souls of plants, animals, and humans. He believed that plants had souls, animals had souls, and humans had souls, but he suggested that only humans have minds capable of reason. So here we have an early suggestion that humans are different. Humans have reason, and animals do not. And that is a theme that carries throughout the history of philosophy and also into psychology, modern psychology. So in our historical view of reason, our next stop is way into the future with René Descartes. Descartes was a 17th century French philosopher, and he is very important in the history of psychology. He really, although he was not a psychologist, he's a philosopher, he really advanced the view of psychology quite a bit because he, first of all, one of the things he introduced was the question of dualism, the idea that the body is different from the mind. The body is a physical thing capable of action, but the mind was something else that was apart from the body but controlled the body. And figuring out how that could be has been a problem for psychology for centuries. How could a non-physical thing control a physical thing? And so Descartes is responsible for, or is an example of the problem, the mind-body.